Grab a cup of coffee and start your Sunday with Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Every Sunday morning at 9 on the Talk of New York, AM 970, The Apple. Visit cyacyl.com.
Good morning, this is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. When you wake up in the morning, are you ready to seize the day, or are you exhausted, dreading what the day may bring? Have you lost the excitement and passion in your life? Do you spend most of your day overwhelmed and anxious? According to today's guest, Matthew Walker, life is meant to be an adventure that we should embrace and enjoy. Matt is the author of the book Adventure in Everything, How the 5 Elements of Adventure Create a Life of Authenticity, Purpose, and Inspiration. Matt is a world-class mountain climber and psychologist, and he's here today to teach us how to live each day with vitality and purpose. Good morning, Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Joan. Thanks for having me on.
Matt, in today's world of being overstressed, overworked, overtired, living each day without fear and anxiety with vitality and purpose, is that a tall order? Is it something that's within our reach?
It can feel like a tall order sometimes, but is it within our reach? Absolutely. And I think that the main thread there to pull from, so that it is within our reach, is making sure to align our values with our actions. And when we do so, we don't feel as tired and as overwhelmed. So is it a tall order? It can feel that way sometimes, but absolutely it is within our reach.
Well, Matt, I want to ask a couple of things about your beginning. I mean, you're a mountain climber, and then you were able to tie those experiences into this new life journey of helping people find purpose in their lives. So first of all, I guess, how did you become a mountain climber? Was that how you began your adult career? And then how did you make the transition into what you're doing now?
Yeah, so yes, it is how I began my adult career, through university and then after school, guiding clients on the highest peaks of all around the world, on all 7 continents. And what I found on those journeys for myself was this amazing feeling of vitality and energy that I hadn't experienced in my everyday life. And I started to notice that the clients I was working with also had those experiences, and that many of them were return guests. They kept coming back for more and more climbing trips and expeditions to have that sense and that feeling of vitality. And I can recall sitting in my tent once up in Alaska, and it was a long expedition with some pretty bad weather, lots of snow and storms. And I remember sitting in the tent thinking, wow, I don't spend, even though this is my career, I actually spend more time outside of the mountains than I do in the mountains. So instead of just escaping into the mountains for these experiences, how can I take the lessons learned from climbing and from expeditioning and apply them to the everyday? And how can I support those guests, those clients on those trips? And so what I started to really pin down was, what was it that made those trips so engaging and so rewarding? And I came up with what I call the 5 elements of adventure.
And Matt, we're going to talk about each of those elements, but I want to interrupt here for a moment.
Sure.
We're talking about mountain climbing, and I don't want people sitting at home listening to this say, oh, I'm never going to be a mountain climber. This isn't for me. So, I mean, really what we're talking about is just that spirit of stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying something different. Is that a fair assessment?
I think, yeah, it's twofold. There is a piece about stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's an essential piece of it. The second piece is really doing and living the life that you want to be living, as opposed to the one that you may feel obligated to do. So there's a twofold piece. There's one about taking that risk and stepping out, and the other is about honoring yourself and honoring what's unique about you and engaging in a life that's rewarding for you as a result.
Do you think we always know what that life is?
I don't, and that's where I think that stepping out piece is so important. To try new things and to experiment and play with it. I often think about life as it's kind of an experiment, And the more that we can play with the ideas and play with it, the more fun it can be. And sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it doesn't go as well. But it's a matter of experimenting and trying new things. So that's where that stepping out piece comes into play.
And what would you say is the benefit of us viewing our lives as an adventure?
I think that viewing your life as an adventure allows you to be able to embrace and work with challenges throughout the day, to be able to be present to what's happening right then in the moment. So embracing life as an adventure allows you to be able to kind of roll with the punches a little bit more, to be able to not feel weighed down by challenges or difficulties, and to work with them knowing that you're on, that life is a long-term experience, is a long-term adventure.
So if we start to adapt this thought process that our life is an adventure and we're supposed to thrive and enjoy every moment of it, what about that person who's at that fork in the road right now, who's going through a major transition and doesn't know which way to go? Adopting this philosophy, how can they choose the right path that's waiting for them, the journey that they're supposed to go on?
Well, that's a great question. If you look at the 5 elements that I identify in the book, they're high endeavor, uncertain outcome, total commitment, tolerance for adversity, and great companionship. And that person who's kind of at that crossroads can explore, how each of those different elements can support them. So, in particular, uncertain outcome, I think, is a great element to give attention to. And what that is instead of looking for specific outcomes all the time in everything that we do, to have everything as a contained, safe, controlled experience, to acknowledge that life is full of uncertainty, and that our highest endeavors, those things that we really set our minds to, that have the deepest meaning for us, those things are directly tied to uncertain outcome. That if they had a certainty to them, that it'd be more like an amusement park ride or something like that, as opposed to our lives, which have ups and downs and uncertainty. So, embracing the opportunity for uncertainty actually can fuel us and give us more energy, as opposed to trying to control something and look for the contained, controlled outcome.
And it also becomes some of our greatest learning experiences. That's how we learn our lessons in life, by those unexpected outcomes.
That's exactly right, yes. Yeah, so I think if you look back on your own life and you look at the highest endeavors of your life, whether that's your vocation, significant relationships you're in, your educational path, the community you're involved in, things that you volunteer for, things like that, the things that have the most meaning for us, if you look at those things, I think you'll see a pattern that there's a specific uncertainty tied to them, and that uncertainty is what gives it that much more meaning. So, just to take a significant relationship, for instance, a marriage, indelibly tied into the marriage is uncertainty, how it's going to unfold, how it's going to develop, and if it was all neat and clean and tied up, it wouldn't have the same level of engagement or commitment to it.
And just imagine, too, if everything was so neat and tidy, life would really be boring if you think about it. I mean, you talk about being in a rut. It's just if you knew what to expect at every moment, it's almost like there's not a whole lot worth living at that point.
That's true, and I think that we find ourselves in a challenge sometimes when things are feeling a little bit crazy. We want that control. And I'm not advocating for adventure. I mean, although the book is titled Adventure in Everything, I'm not advocating for adventure in everything. I don't want to have an adventure every time I wake up in the morning to go take a shower. Like, there are certain things that I want to have as controlled experiences that I know are going to happen. Mm-hmm. But the things that are that have the most meaning for us, those things really should be embraced as adventure.
Now, Matt, you mentioned the 5 elements of adventure, and we've been speaking about uncertain outcome. Can we talk about the other elements as well? Let's start with high endeavor.
Sure. Yeah. So high endeavor is really at the heart of it. It's the core driver for who we are as people. It's the thing that makes each of us unique. It's the way that we can connect each of our interests and our values together for something that's unique to each of us. So it's everything as widespread as a woman who's a client of mine who is a quilter, who decided that she wanted to She owns a quilting shop, but then she also volunteers for an MS group. So she decided to connect those two fields together in order to do quilting as fundraising for MS. And then through that process, became more engaged with patients that have MS. So for her, she was able to connect these two pieces together to dive deeper and deeper into service for herself. So that sort of example is what high endeavor really is. It's being able to connect the things together, the different threads of our lives together in a unique way that give us that much more energy and vitality and allow us to be of service to others in the world.
So we have high endeavor and uncertain outcome. What about the third one, total commitment?
Yeah, total commitment. That's a great one. What I like about total commitment is that it's a little different than it may seem at the surface. So often when I talk about total commitment, the first thing people think about is kind of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and sucking it up and making it happen regardless. But what total commitment really is about being graceful, about having humility to have a specific outcome that you're searching for and you're going towards, but at the same time being flexible with what comes up along the way and being flexible with how you get there. So sometimes A to B to C isn't always a direct line, and that you need to change paths and be flexible as to what happens in your life in order to get to those goals. And so that's what total commitment's about. It's about being present and working towards those goals, but acknowledging that things may shift and change along the way.
And the fourth element is tolerance for adversity. And boy, this is one that I know I need to work on. So,
tolerance for adversity. So for me, when I started to really think about tolerance for adversity, the first thing that came to mind were all the different people that I knew who had this unique ability to be able to laugh and make jokes and kind of just roll with it in the face of sincere challenge and seeming defeat. And so I was really struck by what is it about those types of personalities that allow people to be successful and enjoy the experience even when things are really challenging. And so that's what the heart of tolerance for adversity is. It's humor and grace through difficult times. And what I like about tolerance for adversity, especially for myself, is that it's a learned skill, so we can keep learning it, and it's also contagious. You know, the more the time that you spend around people that have that ability to tolerate adversity and to do it with style and grace, the more that it kind of rubs off on you and is contagious.
And the last one, Matt, great companionship.
Yeah, great companionship. I think of great companionship as the indelible marker of the five elements. It's the piece that makes the most significant mark in our life. It's the part that really that warms our heart and makes us human. It's about sharing our lives with people that we enjoy being with and giving, and also being able to receive from them at the same time. So I think without great companionship, great companionship is really about the humanity of the experience.
And if our listeners would like more information about these elements that Matt's been discussing, get a copy of his book, Adventure in Everything, How the Five Elements of Adventure Create a Life of Authenticity, Purpose, and Inspiration by Matthew Walker. Matt, we're going to let our listeners think about that for a moment while we take a break for this week's Healthy Living Tip. When we return, I'm going to ask Matt to give us some inspiration for those of you who are laying in bed right now saying, yeah, adventure, I don't even want to get out of bed. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Eric Murphy, part owner and head trainer at Pearl Personal Training in Little Falls, New Jersey. The golf swing is a highly integrated sport activity that takes coordination from both sides of the body for movement and maintaining body position. The optimal golf swing requires balance, flexibility, coordination, strength and power in the right quantities within the appropriate muscle groups. Muscular endurance is required for repeated swings on the practice range. The development of muscular strength helps to maintain proper body position and posture during the swing. Power is essential for club head speed. Cardiovascular endurance is necessary to complete a full round of golf without fatigue. The Kinesis Golf program at Pearl Personal Training integrates resistance movement patterns that have been specifically designed to address all of these physical conditioning needs. The golf program incorporates a high degree of lower extremity weight shifting and body weight transference activity. Stationary stance weight shifting enhances balance, coordination, and body awareness. Proper execution also requires activation of hip, leg, and trunk stabilizer muscles. The Kinesis Golf program also offers injury prevention benefits. Many overused golf-related injuries may be minimized or prevented with the movements contained within this program. Movement increased body awareness, strengthen connective tissues, and improve muscle extensibility and responsiveness. Call us at Pearl Personal Training, 973-837-8202, or visit our website, www.pearlpersonaltraining.com.
Change your attitude, change your life in big. Believe, inspire, grow. Salute the entrepreneurial spirit of small business owners, people who follow a dream, work hard, and make it happen. This week's Spotlight is on Art with Purpose. Are you looking for a unique and meaningful activity that gives back? Art with Purpose is an interactive program that allows you and your participants to engage in a creative experience that provides a community service. From corporate retreats to bridal and baby showers to birthday parties and more, personally tailored projects provide you with a fun activity that has a purpose. Choose from creating tile tables for pediatric hospitals, a tile wall mural to brighten up a homeless shelter, or maybe Hug Me pillows or sleep shirts for children who are ill or in need. Have fun while helping the cause you embrace. Contact Art with Purpose for more information about their unique programs. Call 973-992-7785 and ask for Joan or Diana. Art with Purpose. Call today to start the collaboration.
Health insurance costs have risen at an alarming rate. At the same time, coverage choices have narrowed. Supplemental insurance provides an employer with the opportunity to enhance its current health plan without adding cost or administration. From accidents to catastrophic illness to intensive care to unexpected death, VMN Benefits has the plan to meet your needs. Call VMN Benefits at 201-697-0203 to learn more about supplemental insurance. VMN Benefits, providing peace of mind for your employees.
Some people prefer traditional funeral services. Others prefer cremation. Some want an elaborate ceremony. Others don't want any ceremony at all. Visit Funeral Homes offer all types of services because we know there are all types of people. That's why we specialize in personalized funeral services. To meet the needs of each and every family, call Bishop Quinlan Funeral Homes of Clifton at 973-546-2000 and visit Parker Funeral Home of Little Falls at 973-256-4700 for ideas and information on how to plan a service as individual as you are.
Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life now has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox. Each month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide the information that you need to inspire and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. As philosopher Francis Bacon said, knowledge is power. Use the wisdom provided in the publication and apply it to your everyday life. Visit cyacyl.com for more information or to begin your free subscription. That's cyacyl.com. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman, and our guest today is author Matthew Walker. Matt's the author of the new book, Adventure in Everything, How the 5 Elements of Adventure Create a Life of Authenticity, Purpose, and Inspiration. Matt is a world-class mountain climber and a psychologist, and he's talking to us today about how we can live each day with vitality and purpose. Matt, just a personal story I'd like to share with what you're talking about. And you know, I brought up the term of stepping outside the comfort zone, but recently I did something completely out of character for me. I have never run a day in my life, and 9 weeks ago I got what I like to refer to as my harebrained scheme to start running. And this past Labor Day, I ran my first 5K.
Right on.
Well, and you know, I know exactly what you're referring to when you talk about that commitment and that spirit, because in probably like the first quarter mile into the run, there was a hill. And we trained on a track, which was, you know, soft and cushiony and flat and very nice. And on this first hill, I literally was almost in tears. I wanted to quit. I didn't think I was going to make it up this probably quarter mile incline and then run another 2.5, 2 3/4 miles after that. But I did it. And I have to tell you, I have felt more alive than I've ever felt in my entire life. So I totally understand this concept of adventure and trying something and feeling alive and that joy and so forth. So I really hope our listeners get a copy of this book and they try to implement some of these strategies that you've been discussing with us today.
Thank you. That's a great story because that's exactly it. It's about trying something new, stepping out, and then and moving with the whole experience and not being shut down like you're like your mind initially told you to do.
Well, and sometimes, and the best part is all those people that laughed at me. I got to say to them, ha, ha, But anyway, before break, I mentioned for the person that's laying in bed, probably literally, the show airs at 9 a.m., but that person who's laying in bed right now saying, adventure, are you crazy? I barely have enough energy to get out of bed, get through my day. You're telling me to get this new perspective on life.
Mm-hmm.
How is someone going to start doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, adventure in everything. I'm not advocating to go and quit your job and go and make this huge radical lifestyle change. Instead, what it's really about is, like I had mentioned earlier, about aligning your values and your actions. And when you make sure that the actions that you're involved in are aligned with your personal values, it gives you that level of energy so that you are motivated to get out of bed and you are motivated to do the responsibilities that you have. I have a client that I work with whose parents are sick, and it doesn't seem very adventurous for her to go and do her job and take care of her child, put her child to school, and then go on and take care of her parents later in the evening, on a daily basis. But for her, and she was very, very tired at the end of each day, but what was energizing for her was to acknowledge that caregiving and love and generosity are some of her core values as a human being. And so to realize that the actions she was taking during the day were in alignment with what those core values are gave her that energy and motivation. So it started to shift her perspective from what felt like obligations to then what felt like a gift. Similarly, sometimes we have jobs that we don't enjoy that much, or maybe we enjoy them only occasionally. And to find what is our personal value that comes out through that work, whether it's through customer service, engaging with customers, or offering some sort of service that helps benefit people, that you then really acknowledge that's at the core of what your work is, and then that value comes into life through your work, and it helps energize you and give your life that purpose. So in the book, there's a whole series of exercises that help you to understand and to acknowledge that part of your life. The other part of the book is a series of narratives that tell stories about other people, and you can see how the 5 elements apply to a whole different series of people's lives. Everything from parents to line workers, to customer service, to professionals, all different types of professions, and see how the 5 elements apply to people's lives.
Now, Matt, I had read once that you said, and I thought this was a wonderful example. If we looked at our life and our personal journey, that, our life is like our car, and you said that we're responsible for driving the car, choosing where to take your car, the pace and manner in which you get there. And that's something I think is very important. We forget that we are in charge of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, your strategies, I think, remind us of that. And I do think that it's definitely worth the read for people to try to take some of these strategies to get started.
Yeah, the car analogy, I think, is a great analogy. It's we are in charge. And it's easy to forget that when we have so many responsibilities and we feel like we're kind of on a treadmill. And so to take the analogy one step further, I like to think of it as we are the car, we are on the road, and we are making these decisions. And the 5 elements of adventure are somewhat like a guardrail, kind of like a guardrail on a mountain road that help guide and direct, but aren't actually doing the work for you. So you are in charge and you are responsible, and the 5 elements can help support you along the way.
The book is Adventure in Everything, How the 5 Elements of Adventure Create a Life of Authenticity, Purpose, and Inspiration by Matthew Walker. If you'd like more information about Matt, you can visit our website, which is cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read our digital magazine, and sign up for our mailing list. Matt, in about 30 seconds or so, what would you like our listeners to walk away with from this interview? If they were going to take one thing from it, what would that be?
I'd like listeners to start the day with fresh eyes, with the perspective, with the possibility that they can have that level of energy and engagement in their everyday life, that they can move through the world with purpose and intention, and they can do it on a larger scale in how they choose to spend their time and energy, but then also on a smaller scale, on a daily scale, with how they choose to engage with other people. So to move through the world today and see what ways that they can bring that level of adventure into all their different interactions.
Once again, the book is Adventure in Everything by Matthew Walker. Matt, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I have really enjoyed our conversation, and I'd like to have you come back again sometime.
I'd love to come back and talk again. Thank you, Joan.
Again, our guest today was Matthew Walker. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.